Remember, the 27th of September. Hello YouTube, w0r1d here, and welcome back to Hackmud, where some crazy things have been going on in recent days, and I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about those. Now, this is going to be requiring a little bit of setup to explain, so bear with me for a moment. First of all, you'll remember in a previous video, I mentioned once that not all of the scripts that you see here are NPCs, and that one of the more common things going on in maybe the early days of Hackmud was the lowly phishing scam, right? For instance, let me see if I can scripts dot. They need to be low sec. Indeed, they would. For instance, these guys right here, account balance, account transactions, account transfer GC2, these are not the trust scripts, right? Up in the top right corner, you can see accounts with an S is the actual command. This is somebody who had created a player account to simulate that and catch people out that had mistyped the command. I myself have fallen victim to this, and the user red is no more. Deleted and instead replaced by yours truly, w0r1d. Now, one of the most infamous players in the opening week of the game was a player by the name of V. Now, V had used this phishing scam, and specifically a user account that had been created named script without the S at the end, in order to get the player locations or locks of over 70 players. V was so ubiquitous as like this nefarious creation on the game. She's even mentioned in the Rock Paper Shotgun article review that came out a few days ago. Now, V had gotten this reputation, and there were a number of players that were also very powerful. That, for example, if we take a look at the top 10 list, users like DTR and Soren were effectively gunning for V for a while, placing large bounties on anybody that could produce her player location. Now, that had been going on for a few days until a few things happened to upset the balance. Namely, another piece of information that's going to be vital here. There are certain NPCs you'll run across when just looking for NPC locks to harvest and get GC out of the dead accounts. You'll find some of those accounts don't go away when they're hacked. And that might not seem like a big deal, but it means that it leaves behind the player's location for another player to come along and stumble across if they take the time to breach the account and then run a get access log on. And that very thing had happened only a few days ago. And in fact, a player by the name of Alcon Chloe, something like that, had managed to find the player location of none other than the game's developer, Sean Makes Games. He was then able to use this to hack Sean's account and stole over 5 billion GC out of it. Now, that in itself would have been pretty amazing news, but it escalated fairly quickly from there. This all happened in like the wee hours of the morning on the 27th. Like in the US, it was slightly past midnight. It was very early in the morning in Europe. That was the kind of time frame we were looking at here. A lot of people were asleep. It was shortly after Alcon Chloe managed to do that, he then ran afoul of one of V's phishing scripts. And suddenly V found themselves the new proud owner of over 5 billion GC. Now, this elevated the priority of Soren here and his attempts to get V's location. The reason for that being Let's go with corpse.top. Soren runs the Hollow Agent Experimentals here, which is the current second-ranked corporation. And just having over 5 billion GC stolen from them, he was a little perturbed, we shall say. Now, what this led to is another one of the fairly frequent scams that has been going on here in the early days, which is, if we take a look at script.fullsec, we're going to find several scripts that have been written by Soren. And it's quite a long list to scroll through. And we're specifically going to be looking at Soren.color utilities. This is a script that basically allows you to manage color for chat channels and tells and all that kind of stuff. It handles setting color strings for you. And this is a fullsec script, so it's safe in the sense that it doesn't have access to any information on a player. It can't really do anything to you. And it was becoming a widely used utility for a number of players. And one of those players was V. Now, the thing about Soren color utility script here is that if Soren wants to change what this script does, it can drop from a fullsec script to a nullsec script in an instant, and you don't get any warning about that. So as V was using this script in order to make colorful messages, its security suddenly dropped. And the next time that V ran it, it revealed her player location to Soren and the members of Hollow Agent Experimentals. Now, what happened next is the escalation that all sort of happened very quickly. And Hackmud basically found itself on like the brink of the Hackmud w0r1d in just a matter of minutes. Soren and his crew then attempted to hack into V's account. They failed initially, but V was notified of the breach due to the warn lock and immediately threatened the release of the plus 70 player locations that she had managed to scrape together over the course of the last 4 days or so. Now, this put them into a bit of a standoff because something like that has a lot of potential for chaos. If suddenly that many player locations were just in the wild, man, we're talking just disaster. And that got them to back off. And we ended up in a bit of a stalemate for a while with Soren DTR, who was another prominent figure in the game. They've both been around since the beta for several months. And V, on the other side of that, sort of end up in a bit of a stalemate. Effectively, a negotiation is had and terms are reached. The terms being that if we take a look at script.fullsec, and then I'm going to want to sys. No, I'm going to want to, excuse me while I remember all of the commands that I'll need for this. I'm going to want to scripts get level on script.fullsec. And the script no longer exists. So the terms that were reached in this stalemate were that these phishing accounts were all deleted. Now, this was not something she could do on her own. Retiring accounts normally takes 30 days. So DTR and V both come to this agreement that that V is going to not release the player locations that she has, that the currently existing player locks are going to be made useless, and the fact that DTR/Soren both have access to V's player location is also going to be reset. They approach Sean with this proposal and agreeing. Sean ends up purging those accounts as well as resetting the player locations for everyone as a one-time reset. Now, there are certain sources out there that think that that might become a bit more regular in the future. There are certainly a number of players that are calling for it because as it currently exists, losing your player location, such as I did a few days before this, means that you have to burn the user. You know, the account is worthless to you, or at least severely compromised. It's not as simple as, you know, well, I should change my passwords now. You don't have the ability, you know, to manually reset that. So it was something that permanently burned that user account. I didn't see anything particularly wrong with that. I mean, it just meant transferring things off of that user, retiring them, creating a new user, transferring things back. It wasn't the end of the world exactly, but not everyone feels that way. And some of the other the other player outcry over all this has led to that certainly becoming a more commonly suggested solution to the problem. So just keep this all in mind, right, guys? Like, some of the things that we talked about here today and the scams that are possible, all the V's accounts were deleted. You know, we did see that, like, account still exists. I would never recommend you run that thing. Any of those types of scams. Additionally, it's entirely possible for any of these fullsec scripts to find themselves not so fullsec anymore. You might run it 1 minute, and then when you go to run it the next, things are a little dodgy. That also makes running something like scripts.getLevel useful, but not foolproof, because the information you have in 1 second may not be the reality of the situation that exists in the next. Now, I just wanted to make a quick video talking about all this. I find it fascinating and exciting. You know, it took something like 4 days before a major event happened like that. And it really does show the potential that the sandbox has within Hackmud for this sort of player-made content and crazy exciting things. I happened to be online at the time this was all going down, and there was some edge-of-seat, nail-biting, like, what's going to happen next style of intrigue, and I definitely enjoyed it and wanted to share it for all of you that, you know, were not awake at midnight or even later, depending on your time zone. I know I didn't really show up much gameplay, but it didn't fit with the topic at hand very much in today's episode. We may explore some of the player-made content or some of the tier 2 content in the near future here. I will say the thing that makes me hesitant to, like, make a here's how tier 2s work is I'm not 100% on being able to crack them. There are some of the locks that I can't get past. And so that leads me to situations where if I'm going to make a video and show you guys what it's like and it's going to end with, well, guess we're not breaching this lock, that might be not so much fun for both of us. So I'm going to wait until I get a little bit more practice with them and have a slightly better understanding of how some of the, like, account NT locks work and things like that. But that's all going to be coming. I haven't forgotten about the game. I'm hanging out actually in the Discord channel at most times. You can find me there. The developer of the game is there. Several of the, you know, quote-unquote star players hang around quite a bit. It's very interesting and very fascinating. It gives me something to do when I can't necessarily access the game. Not saying I'm on Discord all day at work or nothing, but it's definitely helping with building the overall community. So that's going to do it for this episode. Short and sweet. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to subscribe. There's lots more content on the channel. You can leave a like or a comment if you have anything to say about this or any of my other videos, and I will catch you guys next time.